Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and today we're gonna talk about bone. Topics to be covered in bone we have introduction to the bone, functions of the bone, structure and cells of bone, compact bone tissue, spongy bone tissue, blood and nerve supply to bone. The substance that forms skeleton of our body is called as bone. Remodeling. Remodeling is a lifelong process in which old or mature bone tissue is replaced with new bone tissue. Skeletal system. Entire framework of bones, cartilage along with ligament and tendons is called as skeletal system. Ligaments are the fibrous connective tissue that connects bones to bone. Tendon is a fibrous connective tissue that connects muscle to bone. Functions of bone. Support. Bone provides support and act as the structural framework for the body by supporting soft tissues and also providing attachment points for tendons and ligaments. Protection. Bone protect internal organs like the cranial cavity protects the brain and the spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column and ribs protect the heart and lungs. Movement. Bones help in the movement along with skeletal muscle tissue. Mineral homeostasis. This means storage and release of minerals whenever necessary. The main minerals that are stored by the bone are calcium and phosphorus. Almost 99% of the body's calcium is stored in the bone. Blood cell production. The red bone marrow present in bones help in the production of blood cells. Triglyceride storage. The yellow bone marrow contains adipose tissue which acts as the primary site for the storage of triglycerides. Triglycerides are the energy reserves of a body. Structure of the bone. We have diaphysis. This long cylindrical part of the bone is called as diaphysis. Epiphysis is the part of the bone which is present at the ends. The epiphysis which is present in the proximal end is called as proximal epiphysis and the epiphysis present in the distal end is called as distal epiphysis. The space in between the epiphysis and the diaphysis is called as metaphysis. Next we have epiphyseal growth plate. This is made up of a layer of hyaline cartilage. This part is called as epiphyseal growth plate. But when a person reaches 18 to 21 years of age, this cartilage present in the epiphyseal growth plate converts into bone and the resulting structure is called as epiphyseal line. Articular cartilage. The thin layer of hyaline cartilage which is present at the sites where bone meet. This is the site where the bone gets articulated with another bone. Like this, it gets articulated with another bone like this. The site where this articulation takes place is covered with a layer of cartilage and this cartilage is called as articular cartilage. Functions of articular cartilage is to reduce the friction in between the bones and it also absorbs the shock, but the repair is not complete in the articular cartilage because the blood supply to the articular cartilage is less. Next we have periosteum, the tough connective tissue sheath that covers the bone at the places where articular cartilage is not present or is absent is called as periosteum. Periosteum have a very good supply of blood. Periosteum have two layers. The outer fibrous layer is made of dense irregular connective tissue and inner layer is an osteogenic layer. Functions of periosteum. Periosteum protects the bone and also helps in the repair of fracture, nourishes the bone and act as attachment points for tendons and ligaments. Periosteum is attached to the underlying bone by perforating fibers called as Sharpie fibers. Suppose this is the bone. Periosteum is connected with the bone. This part is periosteum and it is connected with the bone with Sharpie fibers which are made up of thick bundles of collagen. These are thick bundles of collagen that extend from the periosteum into the extracellular matrix of bone. Medullary cavity. The hollow cylindrical space in diaphysis is called as medullary cavity. This is the diaphysis and the central part which is hollow is called as medullary cavity. This medullary cavity contains yellow bone marrow and blood vessels in adults. Next we have endosteum. This is a thin membrane that lines the medullary cavity. This medullary cavity is lined by a thin membrane which is called as endosteum. Endosteum contains single layer of bone forming cells and connective tissue. This part where the bone gets articulated with another bone is called as is lined by articular cartilage. The bone tissue that is present in epiphyseal area is called as spongy bone tissue. And the spongy bone tissue is filled with red bone marrow which help in the production of blood cells. This line is called as epiphyseal line. The outer layer of the compact bone is called as the layer of bone which is present below the periosteum is called as compact bone. The inner lining of medullary cavity is called as endosteum. The outer layer which is present above the compact bone is called as periosteum. Histology of bone tissue. Bone contains extracellular matrix and the constituents of extracellular matrix are 15% of water, 30% of collagen and 55% of crystallized mineral salts. The most abundant mineral salt in bone is calcium phosphate and this calcium phosphate combines with calcium hydroxide to form hydroxyapatite crystals. These hydroxyapatite crystals form and combine with other mineral salts like calcium carbonate and also combine with ions like magnesium, fluoride ions, potassium and sulfate, and they get deposited and these mineral salts gets deposited into the framework that is formed by the collagen fibers of extracellular matrix. These depositions get crystallized and forms hard tissue and this process is called as calcification. And the process of calcification is initiated by bone building cells called as osteoblast. The inorganic ions in the bone provides the hardness to the bone and collagen provides flexibility to the bone. Cells present in bone tissue. There are different types of cells present in the bone tissue like osteogenic cells, osteoblast, osteocytes and osteoclast. First we have osteogenic cells or osteoprogenitor cells. These are unspecialized bone stem cells which are derived from the mesenchyme. They are the only bone cells to undergo cell division and they form osteoblast which are nothing but bone building cells. These osteoprogenitor cells are present in the inner portions of periosteum, that means the outer layer that is above the compact bone, and endosteum which is a layer that lines the medullary cavity and it is also present in the canals within bone that contain blood vessels. Osteoblast. These are the bone building cells. These are synthesized and secrete. These osteoblasts synthesize and secrete collagen fibers and other organic compounds that are needed to build the extracellular matrix of the bone tissue. And these also initiate the process called as calcification as discussed above. Osteoblasts surround themselves with extracellular matrix and they become trapped. They get trapped in the secretions of them and they become osteocytes. Osteocytes. Osteocytes are the mature bone cells and they help in the maintenance of daily metabolism of the bone like exchange of nutrients and minerals and waste materials. Osteoclast, these are huge cells derived from the fusion of 50 monocytes and these are concentrated in endosteum region. The osteoclast have a ruffled border. This is the ruffled border of osteoclast. And these cells release powerful lysosomal enzymes and acids that digest the proteins and mineral compounds of the underlying extracellular bone matrix. This breakdown of bone extracellular matrix is termed as resorption. Osteoclasts help regulate blood calcium levels. This is done whenever the blood calcium levels gets decreases, the osteoclast gets stimulated and the resorption process increases. Thus, the minerals that are present in the extracellular matrix of the bone gets broken down with the help of lysosomal enzymes and these minerals, example calcium, is released into the blood and the blood calcium levels are maintained. This cell is the osteoprogenitor cells which is a stem cell that is present in the bone and these cells form osteoblast. Osteoblasts are the bone extracellular matrix forming cells. Osteoblasts, when they get trapped in the extracellular matrix, they form osteocytes. Osteocytes maintain bone tissue. Osteoclasts are the monocytes. So they are from the white blood cell lineage. Osteoclasts function in resorption. They break down the extracellular matrix of the bone. Compact bone tissue. Compact, compact bone tissue contain very few spaces and this is the strongest form of bone and provides protection, support and resistance from the stress. These are present below the periosteum of all bones. Osteons. The repeating units of compact bone are called as osteons. These circular structures are called as osteons. Central canal or Haversian canal. This middle part is called as central canal or Haversian canal. Osteon means this is a concentric laminar arranged around a central canal or Haversian canal. So all this part is called as osteon. And this osteon or the concentric lamina is made up of extracellular matrix. In between the concentric lamina or the osteons, there are some spaces and these spaces are called as lacunae, which means little lakes. Lacunae contain osteocytes. Lacunae are connected with the neighboring lacunae and also with the osteons. And these connections are called as canaliculi, which means small channels. Interstitial lamina. Interstitial lamina is the remnants of old bone tissue. Workman canals, these are the perforating canals that form in the periosteum, and these Workman canals help in supplying blood vessels and nerves to the bone tissue. Circumferential lamina. This is of two types, inner and outer circumferential lamina. This is a long bone and the outer layer is called as periosteum. Periosteum is attached to the compact bone, and inside the compact bone there is a small layer of spongy bone, and the hollow structure in the middle is called as medullary cavity. Interstitial lamina. These interstitial lamina is the remnants of the old bone tissue. Outer circumferential lamina is connected with the periosteum with the help of perforating fibers called as Sharpie fibers. This is a perforating canal, also called as Workman's canal, which helps in the supply of blood vessels and nerves to the bone tissue. The spaces in between the osteons have lacuna. Lacuna contains osteocytes, and the channels that are developed from the lacuna are called as canalicula. And the central canal or the Haversian canal contains blood vessels. This middle part is called as medullary cavity, and this region which is in between the medullary cavity and the compact bone is called as spongy bone. Spongy bone tissue. Osteons are absent in spongy bone tissue. Trabeculae or little veins are present in spongy bone tissue. Trabeculae is the laminae arranged in an irregular pattern in thin columns. This is a very irregular pattern. Trabeculae, the spaces between the trabeculae is filled with red bone marrow and also yellow bone marrow. Red bone marrow is present in the bones which help in the formation of blood cells. Examples of such bones are ribs, sternum, hip bones, vertebra, proximal ends of humerus and femur. Yellow bone marrow is present in all remaining all other bones. Blood and nerve supply to bone. The blood is supplied to the bone from different arteries like epiphyseal artery, nutrient artery. Epiphyseal and nutrient artery together supplies blood to the red bone marrow and bone tissue. We also have nutrient vein and epiphyseal vein. Metaphyseal artery supplies blood to the red bone marrow and bone tissue. Nutrient foramen. This is a hole through which nutrient artery and nutrient vein enters the bone. Periosteal vein and periosteal artery. These are small arteries along with nerves and enter the diaphysis through Folkman's canals. Thank you for watching and do subscribe to my channel.